Few cars put a grin on my face as much as I have right now.
Now the 31 car has been taken over by young Britain's Sam Hancock, absolutely dominating the LMP2 class. The 31 red Courage with the AER engine is this car.
There are some things in life that make you feel old, and in the best possible way, this car is one of those. It's the 2004 Courage LMP2 that I raced for the Works team throughout the 2004 championship season nearly 20 years ago. Designed by Paolo Catone, one of sports car racing's most esteemed designers, and the main man, of course, behind Peugeot's Le Mans winning 908s, the Courage C65 in its then brand new LMP2 configuration was cutting edge, and it totally raised the bar for the category. Arriving at Le Mans that year for the grueling 24 hours, we really had no idea how competitive the car might be due to a complete lack of testing since fitting the new AER 2-litre 4-cylinder turbo engine. But as soon as my superstar teammate Jean-Marc jumped into the car for qualifying, we were left in absolutely no doubt. Boom! 3 minutes 41.126 seconds, a stunning lap time that put us on pole position in class by a country mile and ahead even of several LMP1 cars. I remember the car just being absolutely fabulous to drive. Compared to anything I'd experienced beforehand, it felt to me as though it drove on rails. It was so nimble, so agile, just glued to the road. Most encouragingly, for the long race that lay ahead at Le Mans, it felt easy. The steering was light and the lever-operated sequential gearbox seemed fluid and intuitive. But while AER's engine did produce well over 500 horsepower, making it extremely potent, it was at that time untested over long distances, and we did have our concerns about reliability. Sure enough, having led our class for several hours in the main race, we eventually sadly retired with engine troubles. But while 24-hour races initially proved too much for the then undeveloped AER engine, the shorter 1,000-kilometre races that followed were no trouble at all, and we took 3 wins from 3 remaining rounds to become Le Mans Endurance Series LMP2 champions by season's end. It's been nearly 20 years since I last sat in this seat, but it feels so familiar, almost like yesterday, because all of the switches and the labels and the dials, even the little printed circuit map of the Le Mans 24 Hours is exactly as I remember.
Smooth power delivery, easy and light shifts, just a little blip of the throttle on downshift, keep the right foot pinned for upshifts and just pull and release the lever. Those big carbon brakes, heating up, waking up. So much more power, especially torque, than I remember. Just the lightest of inputs from my right foot on the heel and toe downshift. Using the clutch on the way down the gearbox. No need to use it on the way up, just keep the right foot absolutely pinned. Few cars put a grin on my face as much as I have right now. crawlers come towards you. Just pulling through the gears on the Mulsander straight. Lovely. Absolutely lovely. Oh, nice to see you again, old girl. Oh, it's just like it was yesterday. It's so funny how all the feelings come back. I have to say, when I got into the car, I was expecting the cockpit surrounds, or at least the position of the dials and switches, to be more familiar than they were, but I definitely had to sort of relearn that. But once you get out on track, there are particular elements of the car's personality that come flooding back. The first one was just remembering what a fantastically open and wide and uninterrupted field of view you have of the road ahead. You get so used to prototypes with huge front wheel arches just hogging the view, but it's the opposite in this. It's almost like being in a single-seater, and there's something very pure, very satisfying, very relaxing about just being able to see everything. Just so much to talk about. It certainly has more power than I remember. I mean, coming out of the last chicane, pulling up through the gears, you really feel, it feels like you've got a very strong wind behind you. There's a lot of grunt, and I'm not sure that I remember it being quite so powerful actually, so that's very nice. The brakes are carbon brakes. Once they're hot, once they come alive, you can just stand on them with all of your strength in your right foot. Very late into the corners, you can turn it in hard on the nose, trail braking deep into the apexes. And all of these are characteristics that I would definitely use if I was talking about a prototype that was 3 or 4 or 5 years old, let alone something that's now 19, nearly 20 years old in its design. That's what's kind of interesting to me today, is realizing that these cars have a lot of performance similarities, a huge sense of overlap with similar prototypes from the LMP2 categories of way younger iterations, which bodes quite well for how competitive it can be potentially in historic racing against some of those younger cars. But what else can I tell you? Yeah, I was expecting to have to give a little lift on upshifts, not using the clutch, but it turns out that the gearbox is much happier if you just keep your right foot nailed to the ground and just flat shift on the way up. And then when you brake, I'm doing it old school with use of the clutch and a little right foot blip into the throttle with the edge of my right foot, just a tiny amount to give a little heel and toe to rev match. We're not running traction control on this car at the moment. We did have it in period. I remember not liking it very much because just when you felt you had the car under the control of your right foot on corner exit, the sort of gizmos would cut in and do something you're not necessarily expecting, which when you're on the limit can change the attitude and the angle of the car. So I much prefer it like this. That's the purist in me, I suppose. It's just a very light, very agile car, and it has all the aero that you could ever need in the quick corners. I mean, Craner curves, easy flat up through the hill, then braking into McLean's, carrying a lot of speed. Those are not surprising characteristics. It's just the ease at which it does it that is surprising me. I thought I would sense something a little more rudimentary about the car, having since gone on to drive such a wide variety of younger prototypes, but it feels totally current, perhaps with the exception of the fact that it doesn't have paddle shift, but in every other way, it's just lovely. It's lovely.
Over the 2 seasons that followed, this particular chassis went on to achieve remarkable success in the hands of American team Miracle Motorsports. Not only did they claim class honours at Sebring's brutal 12-hour race, They also took a further 4 LMP2 victories in the American Le Mans Series and returned to Le Mans for the 24 Hours in 2006 and handled our own unfinished business by claiming a class podium and 14th position overall. Only 10 C65 chassis were built by Courage, and with its 7 class victories, this is the most successful of all of them. Now fully restored and eligible of course for both Peter Auto and Masters Endurance Legends Historic Racing Series, chassis number 9 is surely set for a return very soon to the top step of the podium.